what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. I'm going to be making a controversial video because it's a controversial topic. Predicting the price of silver for the upcoming months and years is going to cause some tension because nobody has a crystal ball to see where prices are headed, so it's all based off of assumption, off of speculation. I'm going to be basing my opinion off of the historical patterns, what's happening in the economy, as well as the charts to try to give a more accurate prediction. Now, there is a little bit of gray area because what happens in the economy is going to affect where silver prices are going. For instance, last year, all of the price forecasts, all of the price predictions for 2020 are extremely off because nobody knew a global pandemic would hit. So in this video, I'm going to be playing both sides of the fence, saying if things are calm in the economy, and what would happen and where the silver prices would be, and also if things get even more chaotic. So I'll give you, I'm gonna come full circle. But before we start, make sure to smash that like button. Let's see if this video can get 300 likes. Like this video if you love precious metals. Like this video if you're bullish on silver. Make sure you're subscribed. We're approaching 29,000 subscribers. I cannot even fathom that amount of people. I cannot thank you enough for the amazing support. Let's jump into it. So before we predict silver's price, right, we got to talk about what influences silver's price. See, silver has intrinsic value within itself. So no matter who says that coin is worth what, the real value of that coin is the metal content within inside of it. And that's why silver's been valuable for 5,000 years. Right? That's why it's been traded as an exchangeable form of money for 5,000 years. Is because of its intrinsic properties. Now, when we're talking about silver's price, we have to talk about all angles of it, from manipulation, if gold and silver is in a bubble, what is influencing factors on supply and demand, is the economy playing, is this all, is the price of silver actually gauged off of how much people put into it and how much people take out of it? Simply buying and selling, because Bitcoin is solely based off of that. Bitcoin is solely based off of speculation. Now, gold and silver have intrinsic value, so I hope to say that it's not based off of that. But as time goes on, I do see more speculation heading into the precious metals markets, which I hate to admit, but it's the truth. Now, when I'm making this video, right, I know people aren't going to agree with me, and that's fine, because right now it's all an assumption. We're all guessing. Nobody knows. So to fit both sides of the fence, I'm going to talk about how silver could stay low and how silver could explode, right? So for the first, and for silver to explode, all the right things have to be happening. The stars have to align. And right now we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that. Rising demand for silver from 5G technology, from solar panels with photovoltaic cells, as silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity. We also see electric vehicles, so with the green energy movement, silver is going to be needed more and more. But we have a diminishing supply. The production of silver is actually diminishing. It's shortening. So supply and demand is one of the most influential factors. So if demand keeps rising, which it's going to, and the global production does not catch up, that's going to send prices flying. How high? Well, I'm not going to mislead my audience. I'm not going to be a silver pumper. I'm not going to say $100 silver by tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. It's not going to happen next month. It's not going to happen next year. $50 silver is definitely well within the range of 5 years. Not even 10 years ago, silver was $50, and times are much more extreme than they are back then. So $50 silver is definitely reasonable. $100 silver, we're talking about double its all-time high. if that were to happen, I'll talk about all the the I'll talk about the circumstances that have to come around that, or will allow that. But it would definitely be several years down the line. I'm talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the line, and that's minimalizing it, right? And I'm trying to keep this video realistic because I don't want to mislead my audience. I don't want you to have false hope. I don't, and that's going to bring a lot of resentment. That could push you out of the world of precious metals. I know a lot of these channels that are talking about extremely high silver prices mislead their audience, and I don't want to do that. Silver is a much slower paced market. It's a much slower paced investment than Bitcoin and stock market. So if you're in this for the short term, you might want to look at something else, or you might want to only invest into certain types of coins. That's a whole separate video within itself, but I just wanted to get that off my chest and to inform you on that. So I definitely have been predicting $25 silver by the end of the year for quite some time now. And people thought I was crazy, right? You can go back in my videos, and look at even just look at the thumbnails. $25 silver by November. I made that video, or I made that, I think, January or February, when silver wasn't even doing anything. I was talking about what silver prices would look like at the end of the year, and why, and what. Even though I didn't know there would be a global pandemic, even though I didn't know any of this would be happening, I did know one thing: the 2020 presidential election. Silver flourishes off of economic uncertainty. It flourishes off of chaos and panic. And I knew that the 2020 presidential election, if we want to base it 4 years ago, is definitely going to cause a lot of controversy. So even though I didn't know there would be a global pandemic, we also have that coming now in a couple months. So not only is the global pandemic pushing silver prices higher, but the 2020 presidential election could be the cherry on top, the icing on the cake that sends prices even higher. So I'm extremely bullish on silver for next year. 2021, we could easily be seeing $30 silver, $40 silver. And the craziest part is silver has a lot more room to run than people realize. The gold to silver ratio is still 84 to 1. It comes out of the ground roughly 8 to 1. Historically, the historical average is around 16 to 1. So if we want to look at, that's not realistic though to say that could happen in today's time. So let's say, and this is still minimalizing it, let's say it's 60 to 1. That's still $100+ silver, especially as gold goes higher. So we're still talking about $100 silver, even if silver goes back, or if the ratio goes back to normal levels. This is showcasing how cheap silver is, or how undervalued it is. Now, what happened for silver to become so undervalued? Well, in the 30s, FDR changed the gold to silver ratio from 16 to 1 to 75 to 1. This was the first type of manipulation I've seen as far as my research. This is the first type of manipulation we've seen in the precious metals world. This undervalued silver extremely, and it hasn't really caught up since then. So if I look at, most things, the price, if you're comparing two things, the price is based off of how much comes out of the Earth's crust. Well, every 8 ounces of silver, we find 1 ounce of gold. And it's actually less than that because a lot of gold is remelted, where silver is lost in technology. So it's actually probably around 5 or 6 to 1. And it could actually be smaller than that because miners are focusing more on gold, lead, and zinc, and they're abandoning silver mines. So the ratio, it could be around 3, 4, 5 to 1, realistically. And this isn't a theory. This is statistics. I've shown the research. I've shown the global production from all these countries and what's happening. So if it's, and I'm not going to go off of 3 to 1, 4 to 1. I'm still going to go off of 8 to 1. If silver is 8 times more common than gold is, then the price should be 8 times cheaper. But it's 84 times cheaper. 84 times cheaper. We actually saw it as high as 125 to 1. That's the cheapest silver's ever been compared to gold, and we only saw that a couple months ago, right? Not a couple years ago, a couple months ago. So we've seen $50 silver twice in the last 40 years, in 1979 to 1980 and in 2011. Now what happened? What happened to lead silver to $50, and how long did it take? Well, $50 silver happened in 2011. 3 years prior, it started from the 2008 credit crisis, the financial crisis, right? And the same thing is happening nowadays, but back then they gave stimulus packages in the billions. Today, in today's time, they're giving it in the trillions. So things are much more extreme, much more dramatic. We also have a global pandemic on our hands nowadays, which we didn't have back then. So if if those circumstances led to $50 silver, then on today's terms, it could be much, much, much higher because we have a global pandemic and there's quantitative easing, there's stimulus to the trillions of dollars. And silver, the dollar index is directly based off of silver's value. When the dollar index is high, gold and silver's low. When the dollar index is low, gold and silver's high. See, the dollar's lost a lot of its purchasing power. It's going to crash. It's going to crash, and you need to preserve your wealth in gold and silver. It's the only solution, right? And actually, it's the only alternative. There is no solution, right? There is no coming back from this. It's going to crash. So just to give you guys some numbers, because I know you like numbers, I would say next year, 2021, we'll see between $25 and $30 silver. In 5 years from now, I definitely think we could hit $50. In 10 years from now, I definitely think we could hit $100. That's maximalizing it though. Most likely, it would take longer. If I'm being serious, in 10 years, I could see $100 silver, but that's if all the right things play out for the next several years. Now, who's to say that they will? Who's to say that they won't? Right? There's so many unknown variables we can't really apply, but that's my opinion, and that's coming from a bullish silver stacker that's been investing for the last 7 years. And it's pretty accurate as well, but I want to see the everyday price of silver is irrelevant to me because I'm not selling for another 10, 15, 20 years anyways. So right now, the only reason I'm looking at silver prices is because the chaos in just keeping up to date. But if I wasn't a silver stacking channel, if my job wasn't to inform you guys on the newest, latest, freshest information, I really wouldn't pay attention to the daily price. I would still read what's going on. I would still look at, I would still read all the articles. I would still do my homework, like I like to call it. But I really wouldn't pay too much attention, or I wouldn't really be worried about the price. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't be affected by the price, whether it's high or low, unless I was going to be buying. If I'm looking to buy, obviously I wouldn't buy right now. I would be waiting until a correction comes. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this allowed you to see a realistic time frame of where silver prices could be headed from both a low, from a bearish standpoint and a bullish standpoint. So if you thought this video was educational, informational, or at least just entertaining, make sure to smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Definitely subscribe, right? Turn on post notifications. I'm informing you guys on a day-to-day basis, 2 to 3 videos per day, what's happening in the world of precious metals, what's happening, the context behind the scenes, and where prices are headed. You definitely want to stay, in tune, right? You definitely, especially with everything happening, you want to stay in tune because I will be there giving you the newest news. I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.